Hey amigos, I would like to make a video response to a comment of mine from a YouTuber called Guy DeServans. Here's his little icon right there. But basically, he says I was married, but he says I was married, but MGTOW now for 10 years. There's no such thing as a pro-marriage MGTOW unless there are also meat-eating vegetarians. Don't waste your time trying to figure out how to make marriage fair or safe for men. You can't. A divorce settlement requires you to divulge all assets. And if you are found to be hiding any, you will go to jail for a long time. Please forget the power of... Plus, you forget the power of sexual persuasion in marriage. Women know how to use that, and we should be aware of that. We are junkies for it. You know, you gotta admit this guy's right. Every once in a while, man, you can run into a woman who is just friggin' insanely attractive without necessarily being hugely pretty in a conventional sense. You know, I was in my coveralls recovering a truck out somewhere, and this young lady, I don't know why she was talking to me. She's like 25. Maybe she smelled money or something, but basically she she just came up to ask me some bullshit question, obviously, and then she stood around waiting. I think she wanted me to, you know, like get her number or some shit, but man, no friggin' way, pal. First of all, I'm not going to get mixed up with a 25-year-old. Second, well, there is no second. That's it. But let's go back to what he said about your assets, right? You have to divulge all your assets, right? Well, let's look at how the bankers who rule the country and the world pretty much, how they feel about the law, right? They are well known to violate the law and not go to jail and whatnot. So there isn't any real moral obligation to follow the law when it's not being used in a moral fashion. If it's used to harm you, if it's used for something immoral, like hosing you over completely in the divorce court. So basically, I really have no problem with that, you know. I follow my own personal brand of morality, you know, of what you learned in kindergarten. Basically, real morality. Don't steal shit from anybody. Don't brutalize anyone. That sort of thing. And I think I've followed it very well throughout my life. But you have to be ready for the law to be used against you in an immoral fashion. And one of those things that will help you prepare to deal with that is just some basic preparedness, right? For example, everybody knows the way women, if they don't respect you, you know, if you don't have a lot of emotional strength and they can basically order you around, they don't feel as attracted to you, and the attraction could just evaporate, right? And they're not attracted to a chump, they're attracted to somebody who is strong, right? And if the legal system basically cuts your balls off, you're not strong, and you know you're not strong, and therefore they become less attracted to you, and it's a vicious circle, you know. Then, since they're less attracted to you, they're more likely to divorce you, if you're married. But basically, whether a man is single or married or in any situation at all, you know, I'm an MRA, and I'm a MGTOW, but I'm also into preparedness, right? Now, I hate to sort of bleed the message over, you know, but man, I have got to say that having a bit of preparedness in your life for those disasters, right? I think that's just hugely important, just as important for a MGTOW as anybody, because we don't have like a huge network of family or whatever to bail us out if we get in trouble. And if you basically are prepared and you have some savings and you have things like, food in your pantry and enough money in the account or whatever to pay the rent or the house payment for 6 months or something, 5 months, you're not as scared, right? You don't have that fear response to a threat, right? If you have a nasty boss, you know that you could that if you get fired, you can survive just fine 6 months or so, and that's without even unemployment, And so basically, if you've got like something on your, I keep a significant amount of food here. This is just everyday stuff. Then of course I have slightly longer term stuff like these Yoder's, canned meats and tuna. Then you got this long-term stuff like lentils and rice and wheat in these buckets down here. A little bit of freeze-dried stuff. Plenty of rice and whatnot. I mean, I could live just fine for like 8 months without going to the grocery store, although it would be a bland diet. But basically, Another commenter talked about how he got hosed over at work and thrown out of his job, and then he lost his apartment, and his life just completely imploded, right? But if you prepare, and have some savings and have some food on the shelf and have a cushion, then you're much less likely to have your life implode when you get fired, right? I think that's just incredibly important for everybody, and especially MGTOWs and people who might rub somebody the wrong way and basically get fired, for no good reason, Oh, and first of all, whenever I get an evaluation at work, I always take my copy, scan it, and throw it in my encrypted database so that if I run into a nasty freaking human who basically just wants to just totally destroy everybody around them, then basically, if I have become a victim of that and lose my job, I have all of those evaluations that are all great, and I can bring that in and use that as evidence and talk about how this person is toxic, and I've never had a problem until I ran into that person, right? So basically save all that stuff, but basically imagine then if you lost everything in either a divorce or some kind of legal action. Divorce is just one of the ways that the legal system can be used against you to totally wreck your friggin' life, And the commenter I was just talking about was talking about how you have to disclose all of your assets or you go to jail, right? And that is true technically. And if you have money in an account that's in your name and whatnot, and then it's found, generally it will be, and you don't say that you have it, then of course that's an asset and you are guilty, right? Obviously. But there are ways to remove some wealth from your life, to basically put it aside and make it just drop into this big black hole which is not traceable by any freaking government organization, right? And if that happens, they can take everything else that's on record, but what you have control of, what the resources that you have control of, can't be taken unless they know it exists, Like, for example, if my life totally imploded, right, and I lost friggin' everything, and and then I was even maybe in jail for a year or something. God knows why, but I would be able to restart my life much more easily than most people, because I have resources that are outside of the financial system. The conventional financial system. Okay.